Hey y'all, Jordan from Carolina Sewing back here, and today I'm going to be showing y'all how to quilt on a Longarm machine. I'm going to be using Pro Stitcher software, so if you have a Longarm with Pro Stitcher software, it should look really similar to this, so you should be able to follow along no matter what kinds you have. I'm going to be running the Janome QM15. I like this Longarm. It's a little more economical in size and price, so it doesn't cost me as much room in the shop, so I can put other stuff around it, but I can still do pretty much every size quilt or panel that I want to do. I'm going to bring in and show you how to pull your design up, how to set your space, how to edit your design so you have a full continuous. Show you how to set the quilt up the way I do it. I think everybody kind of does it different, but just show you the way that I've found easiest. I'm going to try and break down every step for you because I know this can be really challenging and intimidating at first. I'm going to try and make it as easy as I possibly can. So I'm bringing you over here and we'll get right into it. Okay, first step you want to do is get your backing that you've already pre-cut, pressed, and everything you want to do to it. And we're going to attach that to your top leader. That's the way I like to do it, and then I basically will float the batting in the top. I'll get to that next, but you're going to need some straight pins. I like these right here. I think these are called magic pins. They work pretty good. They come in a couple different sizes. This is probably my least favorite part of doing a Longarm. Your goal of what you want to achieve here is you want to attach your back to this leader. I try and keep it as low as possible because if you get too high, you're going to wind up stitching to your leader, which isn't a big deal. I do that probably every other time. That's why they make seam rippers. So what I do is make sure you got your backing as centered as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'll just kind of float it up here and do the best you can to stay to the far right. Get that first one pinned up. End goal, you're going to want to pin pretty much every inch. You want it to hold really tight. You don't want it to have any buckles and puckering going on. What I'll normally do is I'll skip a few inches and I'll stick another pin in. Honestly, what I normally do is I try and get Maddie to do it, so I don't have to worry about this at all, but that's not happening today. And just so on and so forth. Pin it up like that until you get all the way to the end and you have about a pin every inch. I'm going to do this boring part and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Now that I've got this completely pinned up, about like I said, a pin every inch. Missed one here. Like that. I'll go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. You still need some room here because you'll have to lay your material on the top. I like to pull that so that I can make sure that I get this bottom part. I like to make sure I keep it straight because I've racked these crooked before and then you got to do it all over again, and I don't like doing that. I don't like doing it the first time, so make sure you're staying perfectly straight and centered. And our bottom leader, give that a little room and pull it out like this. So take this, your bottom leader, and again you want to keep everything straight so nothing gets crooked when you tighten everything up here. And I want this kind of situation to happen. I want to pin it like this. It's a little bit harder than pinning it together like this, but I feel like it holds better and it's just a little cleaner outcome. So we'll stick a pin in here so you can see what that looks like. Like that. And then do that about 500 more times and you're good. Now I got the bottom pinned up here, and now what you want to do is pull your leader up. Just let your fabric hang. Another thing that's worthy of noting, since mine is, make sure if you're doing directional fabric you cut enough for your quilt or panel to fit on it, and that you hook it to your leaders correctly. just like that. Now I'm going to start tightening my leader. Now we're starting here. Once this starts to overlap, and make sure you watch your hands when you're doing this, because I already got about 20 holes in my fingers, but if you ain't got blood on your leaders, you're not quilting enough. So roll that until it overlaps, and make sure you're checking your right and your left to make sure that you are even and that you're not rolling any ripples in your material. That's why it is important to iron as well. All right, now, once you've tightened everything up, you can lock your gears in place and go ahead and start adding some tension to it. And I'm gonna grab my batting and my top, and I'll show you how I attach those two. So first thing I like to lay on is my batting. Let's see if you can see it. Right here, I'm going to bring you over so you can see it, but you want just under the fabric line, just like this. That's kind of the situation we got there, just like that. And then I'll take the rest and I just drape it on. And I'm going to actually be basting this as I go with the quilting process. But just get all the ripples out of this, and then you'll do the same thing with your top. Doing this panel here, so again, just make sure. I like to line my salvage end up with the batting there. And what it's going to do is it's going to just give you, you know, about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of some dead space up there. Almost going to act like a spacer. Make sure you don't have to baste straight onto your leader. You know, a lot of little things. Just gives you a little more room for error, I reckon. So just like that, make sure you got no bubbles. And what I'm going to do is, once we pull up our design and set our space, I'm going to just sew baste it on the top and as far on the left and right as I can go. Once this machine starts going, you're not going to be able to hear me. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna baste right in this white, this salvage end of the panel. All this white is gonna get squared up anyway, and you're gonna just be up to that red. So all this is gonna do is just hold the panel and the batting to the backing. And then it's gonna bottom out here, so you can stop it, and just like that. And then I like to trim everything, and then you can tighten this up a little bit more, and we can select our area and our design and actually start doing the fun part. I will normally put my machine all the way up till I can't push it anymore. That way I know where the machine wants to start, so I can tighten the top end here. I was watching the camera a little too far. You want it to be right above where we just basted. Again, you're just going to give yourself a little bit of extra room. And then you can lock in your gears, and I'll just give them a couple clicks both ways, top, bottom, to get this thing really tight for me. And I'll take my bungees, I'll put them about midway, And if you have some slack, I'll put them on first, and then I tighten them up and tighten them down. I don't like to have them too tight, but you definitely don't want them too loose. And I'm gonna come over here and do the same thing. All right, so I gotta go handheld here, because I gotta keep swapping back and forth. But we got our Pro Stitcher turned on. We're gonna select our area. So you go over here to area, and what you wanna do is go to your frame space. And take your machine, and I'll push it all the way up. So literally as far as it's gonna be able to go, and all the way over. So you're gonna be actually making a frame space, which is more than the actual area that you're gonna do. This is maybe not something everybody does, it's just the way I do it. So position your long arm there. You're gonna come over here, and you're gonna press 2 corner. And now you wanna come and basically do the same thing for the bottom right corner. So again, I pull it down till it won't go anymore, and push it all the way over right on top of my salvage. And then I hit 2 corner again. And this is your frame space button right here. If you hit that, it'll show your frame space. So now we're gonna have our actual design space. And what we do is you can actually look at this time. But I like to be just microscopic. This is better, easier for me to do. I'm not looking through a camera, but it is very easy. That's about right. And then you're gonna hit right here, you're gonna hit 2 corner. Okay. Gonna come down to the right, but you don't have to look on your quilt or panel. And you're gonna do the same thing. And that's good. 2 corner. And now we have that pink design space. Now, that is only this space that we just made. Your quilt or panel is a lot longer than that. So what you want to do is we're going to go to, where are we at? Area. And your width is 2326. That is exactly what we just put right here. I don't need to measure that. I know it's a fact. But your height, 10.5-ish, that's only the height that you made right here. So what you're gonna wanna do is get like a soft tape measure, and measure from the very top here, right, to where you marked, or to where like the machine is, like that, very top of the salvage, all the way down to the bottom of the salvage. I'm gonna measure that real quick, and then I'm gonna punch that number in and show you what that looks like. All right, so I included the salvage. Again, I like to give myself just some more area than I need. It's 45.5. So go to height, clear, type in 45.5, and hit enter. And then boom, now we have our whole panel, right? This is our frame space, so this is what we're gonna be working in the whole time. So in a second, I'm going to go pull up my design and repeat it and duplicate it and make it fill up this whole area. When I started, I'm going to stay right inside that little red box. Cool. So we're going to go File, up here, Design, Open. Pick whatever design you want. You can download designs, you can buy them, you can use what's built in. I'm just using some built-in stuff. I was looking here a second ago, and I was looking at the spiral continuous. Look pretty good. I'm gonna try it, never done it before. So there might be a better way to do this, but I'm just gonna show you how I like to do this when I have a problem with how small that is. You go to your right here, because we're already under edit, go to design, and it's like 2 by 2, and I just can't grab it. So the way I like to do this is I come over here, and I'm gonna make this thing bigger anyway. So I'm gonna make it 5. See, it just went weird. Now I go down to height, clear, 5, enter. And now that's about the size that I'm gonna want this to be. Drag it over here to like right there, and bring it up a little bit. Just like that. And that's about the size that I'm going to want this. So now I can go up here to repeat and make sure for this first part that you got horizontal selected. And I'm going to be hitting this button. I'm going to show you over here. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit. Just like that. And that's going to be about right. And if you want it to be smaller, which I'll show you how to do that, hit that button and we're going to go over, but then I go right here to stretch and it reduces it so that it'll actually fit inside my border. And to duplicate it down here, you just go to vertical and you hit the same button, repeats. Just like that. And now I'll do it kind of the opposite. If you want to make it bigger, you just hit stretch. Yep, it's that easy. All right, so we are literally seconds from starting to stitch. Go ahead and grab your top thread. This is just to pick it up. You really don't have to do it because the machine will pick it up. I know because I've tried, because I've been lazy and done it before, but it can make the back side of your quilt look kind of crappy because you got all these cuts and threads hanging, and even if you go back and cut them, it really doesn't look that good. So to do it the right way, hold your thread here, pull your needle down, pull your needle up, and then I like to come and pull your thread around the back, and it pulls up that bobbin for you. And you can pull some excess, and you make sure that you got 2 threads here, which you probably can't see that because they're white, but there's 2 threads there, just trust me. Just like that. And I'll pull this and kind of hold it off to the side till the design starts. All right, so you have pulled your thread up, you got your design pulled up, your area set, your quilt's racked, you're ready to go. So now what we do is go to Pro Stitcher, make sure quilt is selected, and if that says run, you are ready to go. So like I said, I like to hold the bottom down here, and I'm going to hit that button. I'm going to pull this back so I can do some cool time lapses so you can see it happen, and then I'm just going to continue on. It's very repetitive, but I'll show you after this top one's done how to make sure that we're lined up to that and how to rack everything up. That was always the most confusing part for me, so I'm going to show you how to do that, but this first one's going to be just hitting a button. So did our first row here. So now what you can do is turn that off. It's just letting you know that you got to move to the next one. Don't just start it. And kind of in a rare position. So the design is small enough that it's actually able to fit 2. And the reason I know that is I think if you blow this up full screen on your computer, you'll probably be able to see it better, but I'll try and pull this a little closer to you. The bottom of this design doesn't go outside the limits of our frame space that we established. So sometimes your design's too big and you're only going to be able to do 1 row, and then you have to do that hard part I was talking about. This one's going to be able to do 1 more without it. So I'm going to go ahead and run it, and then I'll check back with you after we do this second row right here. So the machine moves and everything is pretty cool. All you do is hit resume. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this with the camera here, but you basically just need to get your gears out of tension. And again, I like to put my machine in place all the way up so I know where my max position is. And then you just want to slowly roll this up. You see what you can see on camera here. So the end of our design is right here. You probably can't see that, but this is the bottom of that design. We're going to need to be able to access the bottom portion of that. So I can still pull up a little bit. That's about where I want to be. Go ahead and add some tension. Make sure everything's tight. You're also going to want to come over here and link up with where you already sew basted. And do that again, just like that, on both sides. All right, and to line it up, usually on the Pro Stitcher, what you've done so far would be highlighted yellow. but I've had to kind of make some adjustments per this video, so mine is not anymore. But what you want to do is take your orange crosshair that you can see and pick some point of reference. You don't have to get too fancy with it. I'm just going to pick right where it's over, which is the bottom ring on the second from the left spiral. Okay, and what you do is you line it up perfect, and over here to the left you're going to see drag. Press that once and then it turns to drop. So now what you want to do is take your machine and move it to correspond on your quilt to where you marked on your Pro Stitcher. So I put my crosshairs on the second from the top, second from the left, bottom spiral, just like that. This is an echo foot. I like this because I can see real good through it. And then once you've positioned rather, you can hit that drop button and then it moves everything and locks it in place. So now what we got is the ability to do the next row. So you don't have to really do much. I'm going to get everything ready here, and then in a second I'm going to hit resume and it's going to pick up where I left off. So again, you undo your bungees. I'm going to show you this process again just because I had such a hard time with it. Maybe you will too. Maybe doing it twice will help you out. So position your machine all the way to the top. Release the tension levers on your leader gears. Pull this up to where you can work with it, which will work. Lock your gears in place. Go and pull those. And to be honest, looking just at where our stitch basting is, I probably would only be able to do about that much, so I'm not even going to worry about it. I'll compensate for that on the next run. So once again, I'll pull you up here to the screen so you can see my drag and drop, which is what we're going to call this process. I'm going to pick that middle one this time. Like I said, it's yellow there, so that's what you will normally be seeing. And we're going to drag down here. You might be able to see what I'm doing because I'm so zoomed in. I position my needle directly over the spot that I just marked on here, and I hit drop. Pick your thread up, let it roll. Alright, so luckily removing your quilt from the leader is a lot easier than attaching it. So you just come through here and remove all your pins. Usually a good idea to release some tension, but I totally forgot to do that. Just like that. Unhook your gear so you can pull your quilt like this. It's probably worth saying too, you don't have to have this much excess of your backing on either side. The way that this fabric was printed was kind of the weird way, so this is the open 45 end, so really didn't have any choices there. Just like that, and then you can come over here, take the pins out the same way, just like that. All your pins out, and your quilt is freed up. Here's our finished product. Bring it in so you can see it. And I always like to flip them over every quilt I do, and just hopefully you can see that it's a little busy on the back here, but what you're looking for is to make sure that the back of the quilt looks the same as the top. If it doesn't, you're gonna have to adjust your tension top or bottom. If you're curious about how to do that, you've never done it before, I did a video about 3 weeks ago. I would recommend checking that out. Try and simplify it so it makes a little more sense. But next step is just squaring this up and putting a binding on it. So you're pretty much one step away from having your quilt or panel done. So I appreciate y'all watching. I hope that showed you how easy it was to do a long arm quilting process. If you have any questions, drop them below or give us a call. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any videos. Thank y'all. See you next time.